Okay, so this is my second YouTube video. You'll hear me in the comments a lot talk about the extinction event. And this is what I was trying so hard to blow the whistle on and prevent for everybody. But I've mentioned before that this is a terrorist attack, not just on the United States, but on the world. So basically what happened is over the last probably 20 years, every, like I said, a member of the federal government for the United States, every police officer in the country, every member of the judicial system, and every elected official, plus a lot more, a lot of doctors, teachers, lawyers, and then just your everyday average folks walking around, business owners, things like that, all decided to join a secret society, which is a satanic pedophilic cult. They all belong to this, and it's also the Epstein ring. Okay, so it's all kind of one and the same. Some of them are in the Freemasons, some of them are in the Eastern Star, some are in the Illuminati, some are in, it's just all different ones, but they all joined together in the Epstein ring to form one kind of giant super satanic cult. And they had this idea that they were going to destroy planet Earth and sacrifice every living thing on Earth to Satan. And then the elites of this cult, which is going to be like your politicians and celebrities, and I think a lot of the other lower end members thought that they were going to be doing this, but they believed that they were going to be getting on a spaceship and going to Mars to colonize a new planet. So essentially they would cause extinction here on planet Earth, kill everyone and everything as a sacrifice to Satan. And then they would be jumping on a spaceship and going off to a new planet to start a new life while everyone here died. So what have they done to cause extinction? Well, unfortunately, a lot. And what they have done is pretty much guarantee, not pretty much, they've guaranteed extinction. This can't be repaired. But I have a short list of things, and it's not by any means all-inclusive. They've done a lot more than this. But I have a short list of things just to kind of go over with you guys to let you know how they have ensured your death. Okay? So the first thing, and one of the first things that they said they were going to do, which I was screaming and hollering about and people called me crazy, was they knocked the Earth off of its axis. So basically what they did, you know how Elon owns a lot of like boring companies? So they bored giant holes into the center of the Earth and dropped nuclear bombs and other explosives down there and were able to successfully knock the Earth off its axis. Now that may not sound like a huge deal, but it is. The Earth's systems are very delicate and they need to be in perfect balance in order to function properly. So it caused a few different things to happen. One is the Earth's core has overheated, and we have publicly listed now, if you go on, I don't use USGS or any other federal website for information. They lie, and they are lying about all of this and covering it up. But if you go on a website called volcanodiscovery.com, you will see that there are over 100 volcanoes actively erupting right now. And that is because the Earth is tilted off its axis too close to the sun. The core has overheated, and it's causing a disturbance in the magma and underground systems that make, you know, everything work. So that's one of the big problems. Now that in and of itself will cause extinction. The volcanoes are deadly. They not only produce lava and magma, which is deadly, they also emit a lot of toxic gases, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, which can also kill you. Plus the ash and smoke coming out of these volcanoes will eventually send the planet into what is called a volcanic winter, otherwise known as an ice age, extinction. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, they have run the planet out of water. Now, there's two reasons for this. We're actually going through a magnetic pole shift at this time, which is also an extinction event. All of these things guarantee extinction, which I'll get into the magnetic pole shift later, but the water crisis that the planet is experiencing right now is severe and severely underreported. Here in Arizona, where I'm currently trafficked, the water pressure is very low everywhere you go, and also in public places where I'm able to turn on the water, it's coming out like a milky white, like something is wrong with it. We've seen this happening in Texas. People have been arrested for speaking out about the water issues. It's very prevalent in West Virginia. Also, we've seen it in Iran and other countries around the world, but that was intentional. They used a lot of the water, yes, was going to the AI data centers, which I'll do a whole nother video on. But they also basically wasted these resources. One of the other things that the politicians and celebrities thought they were going to be doing was basically creating like a utopia for themselves over in Saudi Arabia. So they needed like, they're Nazis, you know, so they needed like a getaway place. So they basically gave a lot of the water, specifically from the state of Arizona, the Colorado River, to the country of Saudi Arabia, so that they could create like a very lush, like tropical oasis with like flowing waters and lush foliage and things for them to kind of like ride out the rough times in, again, while everyone else dehydrates to death. Okay, now with the water crisis, which is not being addressed or fixed because it can't be fixed, the solution that you're seeing from the elected officials, politicians, celebrities, law enforcement, local environmental agencies is basically just to stick their head up their own ass and ignore it, right? And act like it's not happening, because in their mind, they're going to be running off, I guess, to Saudi Arabia with the politicians and celebrities to live it out, you know, live it up in the oasis. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be concerned about something like that, you know, particularly given the number of children in this state. But, you know, who knows, right? I'm not them, so I can't speak for their thoughts. Anyway, this crisis is huge, because without water, obviously that poses a major problem to the health and safety of the community, but in addition, no business can be open without water. So you can't have restaurants open, the hospitals cannot be open, grocery stores, Walmart, none of that. Right, and they use water for other things as well, like cooling down your power supply, you know, electric stations. I don't even know what that's called anymore, but things like that, you know, other technical uses for the water, none of which will be able to occur. So basically, once the water runs out, everything comes to a grinding halt. And speaking of grinding halts, let's get into the third major crisis that the globe is facing right now. The Strait of Hormuz has been shut down for, what are we going on now, a couple months, because of the imaginary beef, you know, between the United States and Iran, which is all fabricated, by the way. Iran is in on this. The government of Iran is in on this as well. But that has caused supply chain issues globally. And one of the major crises that the globe is now facing is a global fuel shortage, okay? So yes, when we run out of gas, which America has already tapped into their emergency reserves, and they don't have much left. It was estimated, I saw some experts kind of do an estimate, and not too long ago they were saying, you know, a few weeks worth of gas left with no way to get more. So without gas, guys, obviously the vehicles cannot run, but also your electric, you can't have electricity without it either. Also supply chain issues, right? Like how are trucks and planes supposed to get around to bring supplies into a town or take you somewhere? It's all going to shut down. So they did this on purpose as well, okay? So you're out of gas, right? Which leads us into our fourth extinction level event, which is going to be global famine. Now, I assume this is globally, but I can only speak to the United States, as that is the information that I personally have. But the food chain, the food supply has been depleted and destroyed on every level. They have shut down American farming as much as possible. I think a few of the big wigs might still be up and running, but smaller poultry, cattle, pork, vegetable farms, things like that, all of that has been depleted and destroyed. I was trafficked in Ohio last summer where they used to grow a lot of produce, a lot of crops. All of the fields are dead. They're dead and destroyed. So that's a major issue. But another issue with the food supply is that a lot of fertilizer comes through the Strait of Hormuz, and so that was not able to get to the farmers in time to grow crops for the following season. Another issue with the food supply is that we're facing an El Nino, a super El Nino, which is a weather event, and it's caused by the pole shift, okay, which is caused by the Earth being off of its axis, all right? But that El Nino, the last super El Nino was in the late 1800s, and it killed over 50 million people by famine and disease alone. Okay, so the El Nino makes it very difficult for crops to grow and all of that as well, so that will impact the food supply. And then, the other major issue, in my opinion, is that the entire food supply is tainted with human meat. So, we know with the Epstein ring and with Satanists that one of the things that they've entitled themselves to do is sacrifice children, and others, right? And others. So ICE, for instance, here in the United States is a human meat harvesting operation. So basically when you see people getting picked up by ICE, they're going to the Alpo factory or the, Tyson, Hormel, Campbell's, it's all of them. All of them are processing and serving human meat. The entire food supply is tainted. And I can speak to this, and there's a few different things. You can search here on YouTube, human meat food supply, human meat McDonald's, human meat anything, right? They've done DNA tests on the food. And yes, it has come up with human DNA in meat, okay? That's being served, bought, and sold here in the United States. So it's there. How is it getting there? I just told you how. I was trafficked to North Carolina, and this is one of the ways they attempted to murder me as well. They actually tried to throw me in an industrial meat grinder after I was gang raped by the entire community, probably around 300 people, including all of the judges, lawyers, police departments, all for trying to blow the whistle on these atrocities, right? They don't like that. So, basically, when I went to North Carolina, there's a town called Clinton, and if you don't believe me, go take a trip to Clinton, North Carolina, and see for yourself. Just smell for yourself. Just smell what's going on there. What I saw and smelled and witnessed and experienced is horrifying, but they're basically raping babies and children to death and throwing their bodies in the meat grinder. I also saw truckloads, like, how they would load up like cattle, but when cattle gets loaded, typically it's alive and it's, euthanized and processed at the plant, I think. I don't know how this all typically works, but they had loads of decomposing babies and children in diapers, like babies, that had been, I'm guessing, drained of their blood to be used as adrenochrome, because these guys think it's a good idea, to inject baby blood in their face to keep themselves looking youthful, and they use it as like an intravenous treatment as well. They try to replace their own blood with the blood of babies because they feel that it keeps them young and healthy, and they drink it as well, and other things too. So there was all these dead bodies of children and babies, and they're just dumping them in the meat grinders, decomposed with the diapers on, whole as well, and grinding them up into things like hot dogs, Spam, hamburgers at McDonald's, just things like that. And it's everywhere. The whole food supply is tainted. So eventually, when that information does get out and become public, because it's already been released with the Epstein files that they're doing this, and this, there are cannibals, the food supply will be shut down. So any way you slice or dice it, we're facing global famine of biblical proportions. Okay, because I guarantee you the U.S. is not the only country doing this with humans in the food supply, but that's honestly, I hate to say it, on the list of things that are going to cause famine, kind of like the least of their worries, like they have all these other things, okay? So that's also going to lead to mass extinction, right? So what have we covered? We covered the volcanoes and earthquakes. We've covered the water crisis, the gas crisis, the food supply crisis. What else? Weather-related events. Like I said, the El Nino is spawning all different kinds of weather events. The ice caps are melting. This is another good one, at a rapid rate. And so it's putting too much water into the oceans. That caused something called the AMOC collapse, AMOC. And you can Google this and see what the experts have to say about it. That causes major climate change issues, including massive weather events. But in addition, all coastal cities will see severe, they're going to be submerged, you know, and we're seeing this already. Homes falling into the ocean in the Outer Banks, major flooding issues all throughout the state of Florida, also other coastal areas as well. They've done an okay job of hiding it. New York City is sinking. You can search it on YouTube and look it up. You know, you don't have to take my word for it. The subways have been filling up with water. The entire city, like boroughs of different areas, when it rains just a little bit, have been flooded out completely. People's homes have been destroyed. It's been a real mess, but those cities are going to be gone. Miami, New York, all of that, anything on the coastal areas, the whole coast is going to be gone. And that's not taking long at all. That's happening a lot faster than they had anticipated as well. So those are kind of 5 major things that we have going on, folks, that are leading to one conclusion, and that is that we are facing the 6th extinction event that the Earth has experienced. We've had 5 in the past, okay, so this is not something that has never happened before, but it is something that is happening again. The only difference is this time, instead of it being caused kind of like by a natural disaster or God himself or meteors or asteroids, which we got those too, it's caused by humanity itself. You know, with the Epstein ring being so prevalent, over 90% of adults in the United States are involved in some way in profiting off the blood of children. So they're all kind of locked into this satanic agreement that they made, like a blood contract, a blood oath, not to betray each other so that they wouldn't have to go to jail. So instead of that, they allowed all of these atrocities to occur to our states, cities, communities, countries, and globe. And again, remember, they thought they were going to go to another planet and just sit back and party while everybody here died a horrific death. But as we've been seeing with Elon's rockets crashing and Bezos's missiles blowing up and all this stuff, they're not leaving. They're stuck here as well. And the bunkers are no good because of the volcanoes and earthquakes. So, you know, we'll see what happens to them, right? But when I say extinction event in the comments, please don't direct your anger at me. I am a whistleblower. I did everything, including sacrifice my entire life, to try to prevent this for you. I was thrown in jail 3 times, the mental institution twice. I have been accused of being crazy, insane, a criminal, you name it. I'm currently sex trafficked in the Epstein ring in Arizona. Trying desperately to get out of the country, but because every country's involved, I'm just kind of stuck here right now on the streets, living outside like a feral animal. Okay, I'm not permitted to work. They have taken my passport, my ID, my debit card. It's only by the grace of God that I have this phone to do these videos for you guys on. But please don't take it out on me. I am just the messenger here, but I am pointing out what people need to really know and understand, and that is that you do not have long to live. I would suggest, because the government is not going to tell you that this is going on, even though all of this information is public and readily available, please do your research. I would suggest getting where you want to be. If you want to be with certain family members, go be with them, right? No place is safe. Everywhere, everybody's going extinct, right? It's up to God who goes first and what all happens, right? But the only real suggestion I can give you at this time is get where you would like to be. And then, you know, as far as preparing for this, I don't know what to tell you. You know, I don't know what to tell you other than prepare, I guess, to meet God.